Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Life in DR podcast show. I'm your host Saint. As always, man, thank you for tuning in. And if you have subscribed already, thank you. I appreciate you 100%. And if you haven't, click that button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification. Let's continue this journey together. Man, today we're here, and it is an honor and a pleasure to have our next guest. This guy is straight out of Texas, and made the move, came down here, met him. He's gonna tell you a little more, but his journey is different than a lot of other people, and I'm excited to have on the show. And mainly, he's a vet too. I know a lot of vets that are in this country, that have a lot of things going on. So we had to get him on here so he can get his experience about FDR. Without further ado, Mr. Darius, I appreciate you coming on here and coming with us and giving us your experience in DR.
Yes, sir.
So welcome. Let the folks know a little bit more about you before we have this little drink and we get into it.
Okay, so I'm Darius Red. I'm a second of 5 children, same dad, different moms. I've served in the United States military for 10 years, since 2011. I was retired at the rank of sergeant, E5. Originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but resided in Texas because I felt that, change is always needed. Just like how I actually changed to transition to the Dominican Republic, because I saw my life has always been about journeys and aspirations and networking, and sometimes you can't just be complacent to what one area of just what your normalization is. And I think sometimes for a lot of people today, didn't really understand why I made the journey, especially when we met for 3 years ago, I believe. And I shared you my aspirations, my goals, and what my ambition is to be part of this journey, just like yourself and so many others we have come in contact with. And and I'm a very quiet person. I play. The first thing I actually was happy about making this transition was being able to play American football in Santo Domingo. And
you hear that?
Yes.
There's football here, a league. But we'll get into that. Continue. But before we start, man, let's get into it. Cheers. And we here in Life in DR, we say Pikachu.
Yeah, Pikachu.
Oh, let's go.
Ooh, need lime.
Let's go. Today we're doing tequila. So, man, let's talk about this football league. I actually got to see some pictures. Then I saw you were in a different podcast. You talked about it, how you got to express yourself and have that community. So give us a little more background about that, being able to just be here, play in the league, and have that community support, making that transition now that you're full-time. We'll go into it, how's the transition, but just talk about just having that community here and having American football, which is huge.
Well, I was shocked, to be honest. I haven't played football since 2018, and I'm 35 now, so to be able to still kind of condition myself to that type of environment was just a wonderful. It made me felt like young again, because I think Americano football Americano is something that brings the best out of men. It turns the boys into men. And I was very grateful to be part of this organization. If you guys on Instagram, shout out to SD Lobos, Santo Domingo. So that's my team, because
Okay, SB Lobos. Okay, we see y'all. We're gonna check y'all out.
And what I found fascinating is that these guys, because normally in this country they typically play baseball, basketball, track.
Yep.
So I was very
volleyball.
Wow. Yeah, I was very amazed that they are actually into sports of depth, not originally from this culture. And so my goal, once I'm done playing, is to also become a coach. Maybe also bring in some potential clientele, because my brother actually, he's a D1 running back coach in Syracuse University.
Oh.
So football's in
the blood.
Yeah.
It's in the blood.
So, and basically what I try to do is bring my expertise, because I played it, high school, college, arena football. So I kind of know just the concept of the game.
X and more than just an X and O. The X and O plus you can help them. They may like football, but they may not think like we do. Because for me, for example, right, watching football here is so much different than watching in the States. Because in the States, I could talk a lot of smack. I know true fans. I know they know what they're talking about. And here, I go at a sports bar or somewhere, I'm watching the game, and then some of the people that, they're talking to me or they're trying to talk smack, and I'm like, what's your team? They'll tell me like the Patriots or some random team that's only winning. I'm like, how long you been watching football? And they can't tell me certain things or they don't know what. I'm like, look, you can talk your smack, but don't talk smack to me because you don't have enough knowledge about the game. So that's fantastic that you can actually help them with that more than just the X and O. You can actually help them with, they're not just leveling their skills, but guiding them. Maybe they could stop being fair bandwagon, but we all was at one point. I'm a Cowboys fan for that. I just stuck with them.
I feel sorry for you for that. I mean, 30 years, come on, man. When is going to be an NFC Championship game? When is going to be a Super Bowl run?
All right, look. As a former Cowboys fan, that's right, I said it. As a former Cowboys fan, I am on a break. I took an absent leave as a Cowboys fan until further notice. And we could just say indefinitely, I am no longer a Cowboys fan because I'm sick of over the abusive relationship. So back to you. Yeah, that's the answer to your question. As of right now, I am a formal Cowboys fan.
Okay. Well, let me get back to like far as the Lobos. So basically, I'm just bringing in like the terminology because these guys, I would say we are like I would bank that we're the most physical team as far as in the Republic of Dominicana. And I just think
so. This is full tackle.
Full tackle.
Pads.
And we do flag football.
Oh, sign me up for the flag, but the tackle, I'm too old. But that's what's up, man. Wow.
You look good at BA, so I'll give you that one. But I would say that I see a lot of potential because there's a lot of youth. There's a lot of rookies. And so far, I'm not technically a rookie because I actually have more experience. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I just think that, every time I tell these guys, if you want to be great, look at what, like, the greats have done. Like, you look at the Deion Sanders, the Michael Irvins, the Ray Lewis, and see, like, what made them be the athlete that they are, mm-hmm. and manifest that into, what is today. Because now you look at most athletes today are more athletic, they're more nutritious, and they take somewhat better care of their bodies. But the thing is, I think what's lacking in this league, because, like, we actually have a league where we play other countries.
Oh,
so
wow.
This August, we're actually supposed to be playing the Lobos of Colombia. So there's Lobos there and there's Lobos here to see who's the better one. And I just think that, we need to be more developed. Not necessarily just like, just the physicality, but sometimes people realize football is mostly mental than brawn.
Oh, of course.
And you've seen the game at the high level, what these athletes do.
Oh, I've seen it at the highest level as college, like personally, and then, I've been watching football since I was like 8 years old. So I know. So that's fantastic. And as far as you just said, athletes that goes to that next level, they put in the extra work or they do these certain things. And that's a great mindset, especially for this country. And it's not everyone, but this country, a lot of people think short term. They don't think long term. They think like, okay, I do this, I'll get this. No, but in sports in general, but football out of all, you have to put in work, the grit. You have to, if I'm playing DB, mm-hmm. and I'm playing zone, I want to be able to, like, am I going to bump? Am I going to stay back? Like, what's your speed? You got to know those type of things, the mental of it. I got to practice how you shake, how you move. What's your first step? Do you cut in? So that's something, number one, again, great for you to have that yourself. But to give it to them here, that's a phenomenal thing. And I think it's for you mentally, that might be something you can help yourself as well, because now you're a teacher. Mm-hmm. And being a teacher sometimes help you grow. I know personally, for me, being in the space that I am, I'm a mentor. And every time I help someone else, I actually learn from what I'm telling them to be able to build on what I'm telling them. Like, oh, you know what? That's a great advice for you too. So I like that, man. Keep going. Lobos of Colombia versus Santo Domingo. Hey, you better win. Lobos Santo Domingo. Y'all better win. We ain't playing around here.
Well, like I said, because part of like these guys actually made me a better person today. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Because they made a gringo become something more than just a typical guy who just coming here for the limelight. And I think that's what contribute, you know what I'm saying, to me actually learning more about the culture. Because there's so much, people just come here just for, just the typical, vibes. But there's actually a lot of, potential like networking you can gain from this, as far as like, business and entrepreneurship and, let's just look at like outside the money, but look at like what you can gain from just those that are less fortunate, because there's so many like people who could become the next big thing, but like you said, when you live in a world that's just living for the day, where you don't have no one to kind of like bring in some type of information, it's like, that's why I tell these guys sometimes, like what I hate that, the youth today have the technology, like where like they're explaining like for us like to do football drills, like how to run certain routes, how to do certain cuts, how to do certain breaks, how to tackle. It's all on social media, because it wasn't like this like when I was coming up. We was just the basics, but now these guys have the tools to their expense. But it seems like they're just going back to just the basics. But yeah, look at like so many things are just evolving in the sport of football, and they have it right there. But yet I'm learning it right now myself. But yet I'm pretty much like one of the oldest guys there, but I'm still like, be able to condition myself like I'm younger.
Oh, that's great. So speaking of that, I know your transition has been different, because you was planning. I remember I met you 2.5, 3 years ago. It's like, yo, say, I want to live where you at. Help me with this. We were putting in that, and it was always like, okay, I gotta go home, get more money, save more money, do this. And for you, that was always your goal. Obviously, you're here now, but being your transition is completely different than anyone else I know. How is that transition? Because technically you're still transitioning. So how was and how is the transitioning for you going from the States and coming into DR? And yeah, you speak some of the language. I heard you say something earlier like football americanos. That you didn't even say American football. You said football americanos. So that means you're already picking on certain culture. So how is that transition have been and is for you?
It has been very challenging, because this is a third world country. We live in a first world economy. So I guess was also challenging because, being a military background, everything is more fast paced. So now I'm going to even slower pace and like, getting like the information, the network, and the resources. But I think those 4 years since we met and I said, I want to make this transition, I actually could have came here earlier, but I got complacent. I started focusing on like what many people come here for, just for the temporary pleasures, and I think that's what derailed my transition a lot further. Maybe I could have got something more cheaper, especially because during the times of
we met, it was a lot cheaper now.
It
is what it is. C'est la vie. C'est la vie.
I still think I'm a little overpaying, but they also I'm paying for the conveniency, so that's the plus. But I think that by me coming here in the previous years made it more like, I guess, balanced. But there's still a lot of development as far as like the language. I still want to progress in that, the networking. Like I want to still progress in that. Maybe I start a business, because one of my goals, especially since it's one of my professions, is to be a personal trainer. Because I think that was what I can do is share my expertise as far as in the States and bring a little bit more here to those who kind of don't have like, not necessarily the resource, but don't have just the right information. Because I think sometimes we're just, especially like here, things are very hard to attain, just because like they don't have like, they stick to what they know.
100%. It's funny you say that, right? So you live here and you've been coming here, right? You go to a restaurant or you go to a bar, anywhere you go, however they train them is the only thing they know. You cannot tell them anything else. And that's one of those things I find is like, no, you have to learn how to make those adjustments. But like straight up, like so many places I go, I'm like, hey, you could just do this, and they look at me like, no, that's not what they taught us. So it's good and bad, because you know at the same day, if I train you right, you're going to do the job correctly. But if I also train you wrong and you don't have the common sense to make those adjustments yourself, now I did you wrong by not training you properly, and now you're doing my clients, or now you're doing the business wrong. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that.
You said something very important, common sense. Now, that's very common or that's very lacking?
Yeah. Nowadays, common sense is not so common. And that's around the world. Don't get it wrong. It's not just Dominican Republic. Common sense has left the building. I don't have kids, but I promise if I ever have kids, that's going to be one of the major things I teach my kids. It's common sense, because common sense does not exist anymore. Teach your kids about common sense. Teach the people around you common sense, because it's not so common anymore.
And I just think that sometimes that they are holding themselves back. A lot of Dominicans are really holding themselves back to the point where they can go far beyond. I just think that sometimes, what are you willing to sacrifice to get the ultimate goal? And I think a lot of times, many of them don't really understand sacrifice. Because I would assume that, being in a third world country, you kind of know the struggle. So why are you still feeding the beast, which is like the fun? Like what are the parties going anywhere? Are the clubs going anywhere? Are the women going anywhere? It's like, what do you want long term? Like you said earlier, they think short term. And it's not everyone, but I just think sometimes, like, why are they afraid of change? I'm still trying to figure that question myself, because like, if you're not getting the end result, but yet you're still repeating the same steps, like you're just pretty much running, you're like a hamster and running the same circles. And it's still like something that I trying to come to grips with, like, well, sometimes, certain people are not willing to be compromisable, and then they're going to think like, okay, well, I'm going to still do this. I have, because they're very religious, and I think that sometimes they have faith, but then they don't have like a realization of like, actually, you have to do more than just prayer. You have to put actions behind it. Those actions will dictate more than just what you're saying.
100%. So perfect example, right? And I'll use Dominican Republic and then Haiti for the same thing, because similar countries and they share the island. Number one is fear. Because for me, it was the same thing. I would say I took bigger leaps, and plus, once you are successful in life, no matter what comes at you, you're going to get back to where you were, or you're going to get higher than where you were. So, but for me, on this journey, being in the Dominican Republic, not knowing the language, one of my biggest thing was fear, right? Because it was always like, oh, I can't understand them. So instead of trying to take that leap of faith or make those adjustments, like I used that as an excuse why I didn't do it. And then additionally, you said something, faith, right? There's a lot of stories about people saying like, oh, God, please send me a sign. God, please send me a sign. God, please send me a sign. And God sends that sign the 3 times, but you're so blinded or you're so scared that if it's not written on a piece of paper or someone doesn't tell you exactly what it is, you're wondering like, oh, why haven't God helped me? God has sent you 5 people, because every prayer you sent was answered, but the fact that you're scared or is not written on a piece of napkin or is not, so that's one of the things I think it is. And for me, living in DR for 7 years now, I can tell you that's the biggest thing is fear. It's fear of everything, fear of what they don't know, fear of failure, fear of that untrustworthy, fear. It's so many different things that they fear of that stop their growth. So for me and for you, I think that's what you're headed to, is just like trying to get them outside of their comfort. Because the number one thing in sales they teach you is you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. I'm going to repeat that. You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. That's the biggest thing for you that's watching or anyone else, if you're trying to accomplish something or you're in a space and you think it has to be exactly the way you thinking or the way that you believe God has it for you, no. The number one thing you have to do first is get real uncomfortable on that first step or that big leap of faith or betting on yourself. And then once you do that, you will start seeing things fall into place because you got uncomfortable with what your situation is or your present.
But I think also what the issue is, a lot of them haven't experienced true failure. Because that's the reason why when you fail, you know what I'm saying, you understand what it feels like, that helps you actually win when it comes back around. And I think sometimes people want to always have their cake and want to eat it right then and there, but sometimes you have to go through the journey in order to actually get to the finish line. And I think what really is like was lacking is that I think especially with this new generation is that they're too busy being lied to and coddled instead of like actually enduring what the world is actually, what it feels like and what it's actually going to give to you. Because sometimes the world doesn't always understand it. But I think what really is that the winners are the ones. What made the great like Michael Jordan, Kobe, is that when they actually had loss, and then what happened years later, they become winners. And I think sometimes the win, you have to fail. Sometimes you're not going to be the one that's always on top.
Exactly.
And like the wealthiest never was like start here. They always start from the bottom.
Nope.
But also what was lacking too is consistency. I think people don't understand, like, you can say that, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but are you doing the work? And I think what's very poisoning is the social media, because sometimes that, people look at like, well, this person did this and then they able to make millions, but yet do you have the same attributes, the same talent, the same skill set to where, okay, this person got here, but how does that correlate with you? They might be from the same place or might have similar features, but there's only going to be one. Sometimes these industries, and you work in the sales industry, how sometimes like they look at what sells, and that's what people don't understand, that, you might say like, well, I might have better, attributes than this person, but yet are you selling? Do they believe you? Sometimes it's like your value dictate, what you're really worth.
Oh, 1,000%. And social media is the place that get people lost, because everyone think they deserve to be in that situation. Everyone believes they should be in the winning circle, but they don't know how it was for that individual from point A to that success.
Exactly.
So they're not going to tell you they slept in their car until they're successful. They're not going to tell you they didn't have food to eat until they're successful. Because you know why? No one cares about your story until you win. 100%. No one gives a damn. No one. They're going to say, oh, cheer you on. But until you actually win, a lot of people don't care. So those people that you're saying that get blinded by social media, oh, this is, it doesn't work that way, because they had to go through their journey. And like you said earlier, Michael Jordan cut from his NBA team. Kobe Bryant has been around the world. Like, his dad was in the military, so he was, then guess what? Once he did make it to the level of NBA, what did he do? He called Michael Jordan every day at 4 a.m. What did you do? How did you do it? So these greatness, again, you're great because the sacrifice that you have made to get to the level of like, yo, I want this. And what you said earlier is, number one, the journey, right? You have to enjoy the journey. And then number two, the sheltering, the blinding, oh, I'm scared, or they don't know. Like, it's like, oh, I only could go in this circle right here. I only could stay right here, because if I leave right here, then I don't have anyone to have my back. You have to fall. I personally have failed, I'll say 100,000 times.
I mean, everybody has failed.
I've failed 100,000 times, and every time I fell, I learned a lesson. So that's why you said, every time I tried something, I failed. Okay, that was a lesson. It hurt. Burns a little bit, brush it off, try again. And now I've failed so many times that I get to take all my failures and learn and take all the things I learned from my failures and put it into one recipe. And now I'm able to look at things in every direction and like, oh, I remember this. I failed that. Oh, I remember this. This happened this way. Oh, this happened when I did this. So let's switch it up. But you said it earlier, if I repeat the same thing over and over and I'm not getting the outcome I'm looking, what am I doing? But if I take those repeats and I make the adjustment, like a game plan for a football game, like a game plan for a basketball, whatever it is, if you have a game plan, you make adjustments. The Warriors then come back from 6 down, from 0-3 to beat the Thunders because they didn't make adjustments. The Cavs then come back 1-3 to beat the Warriors without making adjustments. And you know one of the reasons why? I'm gonna be honest. I am the biggest LeBron James hater besides Skip Bayless. I dislike LeBron like crazy. But one of the things that happened during the NBA Finals is, Klay Thompson called LeBron like a crybaby or something about it. And LeBron said what Klay said. And I don't remember exactly what was said. You could look it up. After that game, LeBron James averaged, I think, 40 points a game. Me personally, I take everything personally. Every rejection, every time somebody tells me, no, that could be work, job, just a hangout or a woman, whatever it is, every rejection I take personally, and it drives me because I want to prove that person wrong. Why you messed up for telling me no. Your rejection will cost you later because it will fuel me. That's me personally.
You know what? There's a saying that the best revenge is success, and I think sometimes what's lacking in today's times is that some people don't have the motivation. Something that has to get you up every day. Like, do you think it was like, for me personally, I would say that you don't think I want to be in my bed comfortable when I know, like, well, you know what? Let me work these late nights. Let me get up early in the morning. Let me prep myself, because I understand that what's my focus and what's my common goal. And I think people have temporary goals and people have long-term goals. And I think sometimes we live in these short-term goals because like we're thinking about the present, but sometimes you still got to think about, okay, the future. And I also like see that, your goals and everything you want to accomplish is dependent upon what's in front of you and who places in front of you. Like sometimes like our parents, we look at our parents' situations like, well, they did this. So what you do is you learn from that, you take the good and the bad and try to manifest into what you believe it should be the right path. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes people are just going there's so many directions because one, this is the time, the modern day time where influencers, this is like very popular. Oh, well, I gotta have this now, and I gotta enjoy this now because like I don't know what tomorrow's promised. But I think what people need to stop like thinking like, okay, what someone else has doesn't mean that that's meant for you. Like I might want a Ferrari, but is it meant for me?
Exactly. And are you working enough to afford that Ferrari?
And I think, in this culture, it's become very materialistic. They got like, okay, well, you live in the barrio, but you want a Mercedes Benz. Like, I can see like, okay, well, you know what? You're moving from the barrio, but you're transitioning to a different outcome. That would make sense to me. And I think that sometimes what they believe in, like, well, we should just do this, everything's gonna be fine, but yet logically, they're just like
complacent.
Yeah, because now, like, think about what those items do. You're the big honcho, but yeah, you don't think like who's watching you. Sometimes the wealthiest are not the ones that show their wealth; it's the ones their wealth is hidden. It's like a woman who's valuable, and she's on social media and she's appealing herself to the masses. She's not valuable because she's not sacred. She's valuable to so many eyes, but instead of being secret for that one person. And that's the thing where like people don't realize that sometimes what you do has consequences, or it has like a way for you to actually be what you're set up to be. And if you keep on feeding the narrative, like, like you're gonna be fine, not being like really realistic about your aspirations, all you're just doing is just falling downward and spiral to your own death.
Yeah, 1,000%. And speaking of that, man, I want to ask for you, because the transition is new and whatnot, so it's fresh in your head. What is the difference living here? I know for me, it's something different. What's the difference between for you living here and then in the U.S.? Like, and what sticks out?
What sticks out to me the most: expectations, finances, climate. Obviously, this is tropical paradise. Compared to like living in the East Coast and living in the South. Honestly,
give us some example.
So I'll say there's some. Let me do the similarities. Cultures somewhat similar. Especially like because Dominicans are literally like what, black people that speak Spanish.
Yep.
Like food, some similarities. We like salt. They like salt, so I can say there's a very similar. Family,
big on family, yeah.
Big on family, supposedly, but that depends on like I guess the upbringing. Differences, I would say, mentality is different. Finances is different because I pay less because I was paying almost $2,000 to live in the U.S. I paid less than that. My whole bills is less than $1,000.
Of course.
So I would say just I'm at peace. Waking up. So I remember when I first moved in here. Just waking up to a sunset view, I'm looking at out my back balcony. I had a cup of orange juice, and I said, "Man, like I work hard for this, and this is just the beginning." Because once I start getting more established, it's gonna be something bigger than this.
Of course.
Because I'm never complacent. I'm always looking to grow. What I think for me, what I would have loved is that I actually had more of the dialect as far as like the phrases they speak here, because I think 4 years that should have been enough time. I mean, I learned as little as possible, but I think I would have been more comfortable actually having more the terminology, because I think sometimes I don't want to use a translator. I want to actually engage
in that communication,
because it's like it shows that you're interested to their society, in their values and beliefs. Because I truly am, because I have family that's Dominican, It shows that, I love my family that's separate from the American side. And truly, I'm just blessed that, because not too many of us can say they make this journey. Because when I actually posted at my place, the congratulations were so amazing. I was just so thankful that, people who I've known over the years supported me on my journey. And my family were a little bit biased because, it's just a different setting and different culture. Sometimes they hear about the bad things, but they never see. I always tell people, sometimes you never just focus on what you hear, focus on what you see. Because sometimes seeing is believing, and you have to believe in like just like the reality, and you have to always never try to listen to those, because sometimes they may hinder you from actually changing and getting a different outlook on reality.
Of course. That is 100%, and that's part of fear sometimes. So first of all, congratulations, just making that move. Because
we got a toast to that one. Yes.
There you go. Welcome, officially, fully. And yeah, you saw me pour something in there. They don't pay for sponsorship yet, so nobody get no label on this. You even see the water bottles, no label. When y'all ready to cut the check, I'll let y'all know what we drinking.
Well, I do owe you a bottle in due time, so I'm using some good stuff.
Yes, sir. But just making that transition, there's a lot of people out here. Shoot, I had a guy last week blowing up my phone, calling me. I'm like, I met him once. Calling me. Hey, what's going on? Oh man, I'm coming to DR. The girl I was talking to come visit, and they didn't actually come. Blah blah blah. So I want to do this. I'm like, okay. And then he actually asked me like, oh, do you have a girl that could spend the night with me or hang out with me? No, he said spend. I was like, what you mean? Like, I was like, you want to work in one or something? He's like, no, I'm not about that, man. I just want someone to come share time with me. What do you mean? That what you're telling me is you want a girl that you don't know to come and just hang out with you at your house. That's a working now. Oh no, I thought you had a girl that had a friend. I'm like, bro, I don't even put myself out there like that. That's who I am. How you look at women and what your expectation for women is different than how I look at her, how I treat her. And I've been in a situation where I made an introduction, and this guy goes around trying to treat a woman here like a working one, and I'm not in that space. They come to me like, yo, what's up with your friends? Like, so I don't do that, number one. And number two, a lot of the guys that are in the States, they won't make that jump, but they meet girls on Bumble, Tenders, and I don't even know how many other applications there is. And they meet them, and then they're willing to buy a flight. They're willing to come to DR without knowing them and want to come to DR. And then once they don't come through, another guy, similar things. Shout out to B for referring that client. I take people out, I show them love. And this guy called me also like, hey, I met a girl, I was going to come, now she disappeared, so I'm coming anyway. So Brian told me, you're the man to take me out, show me out. I got you. Whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. And we took care of him. But for me, and you've done it both, go back and forth and now transition and staying here, how is the dating for you and being young, professional? And I say that young professional and vet is because if you're older, no offense to you older guys, if you older and you've been married, you got kids about 20 something years old, and you're like, hey, I'm just trying to have fun. That's a different thing. But me being young, I'm not paid to play because I'm too young and I'm handsome. No homo. I'm not trying to pay you because my time is valuable. So how is it dating for you in the Dominican Republic and like actually talking to girls because you live here? So you're not here to play in here for a weekend, because I could tell you stories about girls. They won't talk to me because I do live here, even though I'm American. But once they're like, how long are you here for? And I'm like, oh, I live here. It's like, oh, okay. And they just disappear because they're only looking for you suckers. No offense, for you simps, for all you play. They like Americans because they don't want to date their own culture because they know what they're going to get. Mm-hmm. But for the guys that made the transition, live here, they don't want us. But how is it for you living here and being young and pause, handsome, and and being out there? How is it dating for you?
Well, I would say personally is different from me going back and forth. I think women look at me very seriously now because of just I'm here consistently. Mm-hmm. I think that plays a big part, and I think in my previous dating experiences before I transitioned here, I think that's why a lot of my relationships failed, because you're not there constantly. Mm-hmm. But also there's a lot of insecurities, and I think normally it's because of just the time that you're away from your partner, you're not learning more about them. Mm-hmm. And normally thoughts come to your head, even for me, even though sometimes what's normalized here is not normalized in America. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's still challenging because of just, sometimes I think here things are more acceptable than they are in the United States.
And vice versa, vice versa, right. Because here they're jealous, they're controlling. Even if they like you, they want that grip on you.
Right.
So that's vice versa. Continue.
Well, I just think that sometimes I'm okay with understanding, but I just think that sometimes if I set my boundaries, if I say, well, this is what I don't approve, this is what I don't condone, I honor that. I would hope that person honors my decisions, because just like how, as me, I had to prove myself because they have perception of men. Women have perception of that, Dominican men are this and that, but yet I find it to be disingenuous because I seen good men here, you know, and they don't have like the typical like broken nuclear families. They want to be the man of the household, but yet it's always like a double-edged sword. You're hearing both sides. I just think that sometimes we have to stop like generalizing everyone into like, you know, the certain minority or majority, if you want to say it like that, because I think typically we always have this, you know, constant repentance of like, you know, just, well, there's gonna be men of like, you know, that just want to just exploit women. There's gonna be women that want to exploit men. It's like I kind of keep asking this question. It's like, when are we gonna actually stop the disingenuous towards one another? Because not everyone deserves to be, you know, alone, be miserable, to be lied on, and be abused. But sometimes we also got to take personal accountability, because I think typically it's like, it's not like, you know, certain men or certain women who are disingenuous or just malintentioned are just brand new. Because we should look at like, okay, let's say, okay, I'm pretty sure you know people who have been through certain experiences before. That should be like a blueprint or indicator. So, you know what, let me make a certain direction. So, you know what, let me not date the same type of caliber of person.
I'm glad you said that. For me, I started in the trenches in DR. So like I started on the bottom, like my part, like I elevated, right? So for me, I used to accept, like I used to talk to, not every, but I'll talk to a girl just because of that conversation or whatever. And then there was levels. So I remember there was girls always like, okay, you gotta pay for my taxi, you gotta pay for my Uber, you gotta pay for this. And I'm like, okay. I used to accept that, right? Because that was just what it is. But every time I elevated myself, I elevated what I expected.
Exactly.
And then as I continue to grow, there's certain women I won't even talk to, even if they're 1,000% would probably jump over the hill for me. But I'm sorry, we're not in that space. I don't see the value. And recently I got yelled at by a woman. I was like, shit, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for a woman that knows that I'm the prize, but I will take care of her. Because the only thing you can offer me, no offense, is your time, your affection, and your love. That's it. And she got it, but she took insult to it. Okay, see you later. The reason why I say this, right? Most country now, not just DR, all countries, most countries, every woman wants a man to just provide. But their definition of provide is not really realistic. It's just provide because now I want to live like the girl that I see on Instagram or on that. She lives the life. She wake up every day. She has all these things, but social media is a lie. Or they see my lifestyle and they're like, oh, you live that lifestyle. Now I'm talking to you. I want that lifestyle, but I haven't. So for me, again, before I run off, is yes. If you tell me, hey, I'll come see you, but you got to pay for my babysitter, my taxi. Hey, I'm sorry, sweetheart. That's you're not what I'm looking for. But I say in a different phrase. I say, I am not the man you're looking for, but if I can introduce you to some friends. Because there's always a guy that's willing to, you know what, in the state, that same date would have cost me $400. I'm okay with giving her 5,000 pesos. That's great. Then you guys need each other. But for me, I need a woman that I can add to her. If I got to take care of you from the time that I meet you, it's going to end badly for me. Because no matter what I do, it's never going to be enough. I've been here 7 years. I've never dated, I've had girls that I hung out with that was like a relationship, but never truly a relationship. Some were just friends. It just, people thought we were dating because we all expect to get time together. And then others, it was just like, hey, we hanging out, blah, blah, blah. But at a point, I'm not going to give you what you're looking for. you're going to leave me, or I'm going to see that we're not compatible to what I'm trying to build. Because like I said, I started from the bottom. I started living next to you in an apartment that don't have water every day. I started living, I live in the Bible where the Kamado play music till 2 a.m. So now I live in the high rise. I have all this. What makes you feel like I have to be able to give it to you? Because I'm arguing right now with a group of people. There was a post that these women in a podcast was like the young successful brother, or it's just successful, and these women like, oh, so these booty calls you're doing, do you not feel like there might be that one woman out there for you, and why wouldn't you settle? He's like, no, there could be, but look how far I made it on my own. Right. Why do I need to go and just settle for anything? And I said, y'all sound like I just want the men to work hard, then just accept whatever woman that likes you. Mm-hmm. And then once we accept it, if you're not satisfied with what we got, you can get a divorce at any time and trying to get half. And now it's been a 4 or 5 days argument. And today I left the comment, I said, look, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Right. But what I'm saying is, if he's made it this far in his life without without a girlfriend, because trust me, there's girls he liked one way or another, including myself, but they never gave me the time because they didn't believe I could provide enough, or I can give them the life or what they're looking for. So they didn't see me. But now I made it, now I have it, now you see me. Like Aaron the plumber says, shout out to Aaron the plumber, man. You keep doing your thing. You wild, my boy, but you keep doing your thing. But you're not qualified. Right. You're disqualified. But I took over. Go ahead, continue. I was the dating for you, man.
Well, you said something like, earlier about you being the prize and what you are. I'm going to tell you the reason why women need to understand something. They're the prize to the men they don't want. I'm going to say that again. They're the prize to the men they don't want. Because you ever find it strange that as young as attractive they claim to be, they have this certain value. But I'm like, well, where's the high caliber man that you're supposed to get? If you're the prize, then why are you not securing that person? Because see, men, we have access to marriage. Women have access to fertility and sex. So the thing is that they don't understand that we dictate your value in the dating market. And truly, it's so upsetting that, this feminist agenda, and a lot of them feed into this, they want equality, they want equal rights as men. But then when you get to equality, you don't know you see what we have to go through every day. I mean, who's out in the world building infrastructures, the roads, the houses, the buildings? I rarely see a woman doing that because, it requires physical labor. Yep. It requires, actually, concepts and where it's as men we have to be able to apply the metal, apply the sheet wall, everything
hanging up the 50,000 feet up in the air with just a latch
and I think what's really is that a lot of men don't understand that value because see, when you're young you really haven't really experienced life. But as you age, imagine you a 40-something-year-old successful business owner, resources, networking, passive income. Think about the options that you have. And yet, who's actually the ones that's chasing that man? The woman that they say that they're the prize. Mm-hmm. No, the man is the prize.
Exactly.
Because who's out in the world?
Drink to that.
Yes. Because I got to say, who's out in the world bringing home the bacon? Who's out in the world making sure that you live comfortably? It's the men. They're the ones that's out here, risking their lives, especially being in the military. Who's out in the front line? The men. I don't see that women being drafted, when there's a war or a crisis, it's always the men. But yet somehow, they have this women's suffrage, women oppression. How are women oppressed? When basically everything that you pretty much asked for was done by men. You got this air conditioning, you got certain jobs that, you claim that you want to do, empower men. You got, better pay. But yet, I find it strange that more women are more in debt than ever. You know, it's like you ask for all these things, but yet, you got these educations, you got these, temporary enjoyments, but yet you're not getting the full term or full time actually benefit of a man, of a family, of a structure, of like security. Is that your value, like I said earlier, your value is only worth is what someone is willing to pay for.
Exactly. And that's 100%. And you nailed it. Yeah, everyone thinks they deserve a guy that's making six figures and that's 6 foot, all that. And that's here, I don't think that's the hype, but the 6 figure, yeah. And you said something. I am a 40-year-old successful man, working, networking, doing all the things I want. So exactly that, like some of these women that meet me depend. Matter of fact, I got a story. Yesterday, I went. Shout out to my friend Sen who competed in the a race here internationally, different countries. She killed it. I got my gold medal. I should have been wearing my gold medal today. She won. She delivered. Today we're gonna celebrate. But either way, I'm on my way to her event, to her meet. I get a text, random text. Hey, do you remember me? You fell in love with me and you invited me to your Airbnb. First of all, it's my apartment, but either way. And I said, I waited and I responded. I said, yes. That's it. I said, yes. And then she replied, question mark to her question. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? Because she thought, I haven't spoken to her. I met the woman. I confirmed she was crazy. And women, please forgive me. I think every woman's crazy. No offense, but I think you're all crazy. But either way, I didn't like the energy, and I can tell she was not like a woman that I was interested in and continuing with. And right away, I just was like, you know what? I'm good. But the way she was like, do you remember you invited me? I'm like, yes, I remember me. I remember you. And then she asked, I say, what's up? Did you just write me? How can I help you? Did you just write me to ask me if you remember me? She goes, yes. I didn't reply because you are crazy. No offense. Again, you're not the woman for me. Not
entitled is the best word.
Because how are you going to randomly text me, tell, you fell in love with me, you invited me to my apartment, and you cannot even keep a conversation? You cannot tell me more than that? Do you think I've been sitting in my room waiting for you to write me one day? So that, like, I'm not bashing, but it's just, that's what I mean. Like, look, it's not about the money, but for me personally, and dating in DR or any other world, is this. It's all connection for me. Because for me, I had it all before. I had the life before. When I lost it all in 2017, 2018, and I had nothing, all those women, all those beautiful women, all those people left. And some of the ones that I was hanging out with the most recent, having the best fun with, guess what? They didn't know me. When I reached out, it was like speaking to someone that I did something wrong to. So it's not that I'm hurt, but I know that once whatever they value me for is gone, I no longer have that value. So he said something earlier, for men that don't have value for themselves, they're looking for these women that they can prove like, hey, I do have a value. So that's where the difference is. I'm not that guy. I know my value. There's nothing you can do for me. Give me 3 things. So that's why I love being single. That's why I'm building. That's why we're doing this thing. But let's continue, man. But yeah, that was a freaking great conversation about that. Before I ask my next question, you got anything else to say about that particular subject?
Well, it's like when I was saying that sometimes, like, you ever notice, like, women will, like, rate themselves from a scale of 1 to 10. They always say they're 10, high numbers. I'm like, well, so you're saying that you're on par with the most beautiful women in this world. The Angelina Jolie's, the Scarlett Johansson, the Halle Berrys, like when she was in her prime.
She's still in her prime.
Well, I mean, you know, we digress. But you know, I'm just saying, like, so. But yet, I find it very fascinating that men don't have a self-inflated ego. Like, we actually know who we are. Like, I say I'm about like a 6 out of 10. Because one, I'm not 6 foot. I don't have 6-figure income. I'm not on par with Michael B. Jordan or, you know, like Leonardo DiCaprio or like, you know, like guys who are like just they that dude, you know. And I try to tell a lot of guys, man, sometimes you gotta stop thinking like, you know, don't come like every day you get up in the morning. Don't say like, I deserve a Victoria's Secret model. No, you get what you are. And sometimes if you want to be that guy to get the Victoria's Secret model, you gotta elevate yourself. Like that's why, you know, I'm 35 years old. You know, I look good to be my age, you know, because people would say I'm like 25, 26. But you know, it's all about my mentality. Sometimes I think when you have a strong mind, this is impenetrable because you know normally that a man who's focused on his hierarchy, his status, his ambition, it's like there's no
they block
limitations.
everything else out, and you build it. And as you elevate, the things that doesn't matter or doesn't fit that level are just falling off because you're getting too high for that.
Exactly. So a lot of you ladies need to understand something. Like when I say this to you right now, is that your value is only worth what someone's willing to pay for. Because as you're the prize, when you're young, you should be snatched up like that. But you see that most of you women today are like just not. Basically, you just in situationships. You with fuckboys, you with Chad, you with like all these. You know, like you know, you with the guy that's just like okay. He just paying for you, but then I was like, where's the ring? The ring is what gets you the commitment because at the end of the day, commitment is about for you taking the man's last name, you're honoring him, you know. He's the prize because of the fact that he's put you in this position to be success. He's putting you in the position to have the comfort, the luxury, the security, everything. His benefits is what's going to actually help you become the woman that you want to be. And I think that sometimes a lot of men, we gotta stop, like you know, praising all the sexy reds and Cardi B's, and you know, it's just like basically we're creating that same type of mentality when we give these women too much because you give them an inch, they take miles, and sometimes when a woman has so many miles on her, like, and women gotta understand this too. Sometimes when you actually like deal with multiple men, you have multiple children, your value goes down. And that's just, it's not just be like rude. It's just, the reality is that okay. See, when men, we have certain status, certain benefits, certain economics, certain like networks, our value rises, and that's just like the truth. But then, if you want that top tier guy, are you top tier? Because the thing is, just like you know, we as men, we have like literally like a short list of what we consider like a valuable woman, but then. These chicks here have like laundry lists like, oh, I want height, income, you know, certain like things that like, you know, where he pays for my lifestyle.
Because they're not trying to date a person. They're dating a lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's it. So that's the number one thing. Once that list has more than 3 things, more than 4 things, they're not dating that person. They're dating the opportunity. They're dating the status, and that's why no marriages last. That's why everyone sleeps forever, no matter what. Because I have a list, but I don't go out and say that list. I evaluate, and then I go. But that's all it is. Is women are dating a status. Women are dating a thing, and that's why it's easy for them to go to the next one and the next one and the next one. But as we continue, let me ask you this. What would you say is your favorite thing about living in Dominican Republic?
I'm going to say, honestly, knowing that I can go to a beach and just like look at the view and be at peace, that's probably the best thing I can honestly like think about being here because, you know, I mean, because, you know, growing up as a kid, you know, living in the urban environment, you know, living in the hood, you always had to like go like
30, 40 an hour just in a van, exactly. And you're like,
But the fact that it's like right around the corner for me, it's like, man, just knowing that feeling, and I get to like, you know, just, you know, be at a good state of mind and say, you know what, God, I made it. This is the beginning. And, you know, being on this podcast and open up the doors for me shows that, you know, like there's so much more than me, because not too many brothers would say, you know what, I'm moving to DR, you know, I'm moving to here, I'm moving to there, you know, and I'm actually getting that fulfillment in life. Because sometimes I think what I like about being in DR, there's not, even though there's not so much expectations, but yet, you know, sometimes they have so little, but they're so happy though.
DR is voted one of the world's happiest country. Number one, they drink a lot, so that's number one. But it's the appreciation for what they have, right? Because at the end, hey, bocina, dame un chen de sal, por favor. Hey, bocina, dame un chen de sal. Like, their neighbors take care of each other, so they don't look it. They are a family. Exactly. It's only when it comes down to the gringos there, and it's like, and that's the young generation, like, okay, but yeah, as far as the country, the neighborlies, the DR is voted number one, and the reason why is because they are happy. They are okay with what they have. Yes, there's the young ones that's like, no, I want to live in my yard. I need to go to US. I need to go. No, you don't. You need to roll up your sleeve, get you some credit here in the DR, build yourself a little store, take that little store, open something else. And that's the difference. And that's everywhere, because that happens where we from. There's people, I'm from Florida, and there's people that ain't never left Bradenton, Florida. They've been in that same little town, and they did it. But once you have that aspiration to go somewhere, it has to start with where you at.
Exactly.
For you did it with military. Like, okay, college was cool, but shoot, I need to have that other plan. Let me get in the military. And so you had the aspiration. That's why you're here. That's why you're able to do that. Compared to some people that don't leave their outside of their neighborhood. For me, for example, some of the most unwell experience I have in DR is because it's that guy that never left his neighborhood. Now he got a little job working at the bank, or he got a job working at some place that he feels like he has the power. Like, all right, I'm the man here. They put me in charge. They train me to be thorough with these people. That's like my apartment building. I live in, harder to say, blah, blah. And the people that works the door, the lobby, their job should be opening the door, saying hello when they want to, blah. But as much as they can, they love to try to tell me how to live in my building. I'm paying money for it.
Right.
So, but they live in the barrio. And that's the difference, is they don't know much. So they only know what they know in their area, me being black. And they, like we talked about earlier, once you train them a certain way, that's all they know. They don't know how to not understand, oh, I work for this person. Oh, he lives here. But either way, that's the difference. But for you, how is it living here as a young vet? Like, I know here is very vet friendly, but how is it living here as a young vet and just making those adjustments? Do you get the support that you're looking for? Do you have I know there's some vet clinics and stuff. How is that here being a young vet?
Well, I would say that, I'm probably the youngest veteran here, as far as that I know. But also, I would say that it's good because I'm learning from the old guys, the guys who paved the way for me. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even have been in the military. They fought in wars that I can't even imagine being a part of, like since the Vietnam War, the Desert Storm, before I was even born, But I was thankful that, like the services that typically you would think would be better in the United States, actually more better here. I'm getting better treatment, getting better communication, I'm getting better medicine, physical therapy, psychiatric therapy, but I would say it is a bit challenging because, there's not too many people my age who are veterans, so that's the hard part, but it's just coming in there and learning from the guys.
The OGs.
Yeah, because, they're the ones that inspired me to prolong my career for as long as I could have. Now, personally, there's also some issues because, being in the service that many years, the wear and tear does affect you. So I'm in like the kind of like a little rehabilitation aspect of it because, like I'm training better, I'm diet is better, learn a lot more about my body than I ever did when I was even in my 20s. So being in my 30s, it's like, you know, you're prone to get more injured. So I'm trying to prevent myself from having like even more, even though I'm playing like a certain sport where it's more physical, but it's all about like, you know, training the body to adapt. And I think just, you know, I kind of like, you know, when I'm here, I envy the youth because like this whole laptop in your hand has information that can actually change their life. But yet, you know, I see them like you said earlier, just stick to what they know. But yet their information about how to be financially wealthy, how to be financially debt free, how to be healthy, you know, because I kind of like worry about, you know, a lot of Dominicans' health sometimes because like some things that's like, it's like too much of a good thing, sometimes always a bad thing. It's
Exactly.
like when you don't try to change, you know, how you look at life and how you want to live long term, it's like you're pretty much are the reason why. It's not the government, you know, I mean, there's like conspiracy about the government is doing what they're doing, but what are you doing to kind of like counteract that? And yet you don't even do the research. Like sometimes I think, you know, we got to a point where things have become more easy, but yet nobody's willing to work even further. Like sometimes, like I was telling you before, like, you know, if you're trying to be here, sometimes you might have to do a little bit more.
You have to do a little bit more to get higher. So that's 100%. So all you vets, there's a lot of clinics here. I know there's one in Santo Domingo, one in Puerto Plata,
Santiago.
Santiago. They're vets. If you're out there, you see this, you are well taken care of in Dominican Republic. There is a lot for veterans here. I'm not a vet myself, but I know enough vets, and I seen and I know some of the clinics that work here, so it's a great space to be. So speaking of that, living here, what's something you would want someone that's thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic to know about before they move here? The camera's here. Let them know. What is something you want them to know if they're thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic?
Come with a purpose. Come for, you know, just open mind, because never be content or be complacent on just what you're typically used to. Be aware, get the information. Never just like, you know, think, oh yeah, well I got all the money, I can, you know, do whatever, and build a good foundation. Sometimes, like, you know, not everyone has your best interests at heart, and you know, like I was telling Saint earlier, like, you know, we've been knowing each other for a couple of years now. It's also about having that, you know, uniqueness that attracts, because eventually you want to attract people, whether good or bad, but know the ins and outs, know the right and wrong, but typically try to also think about, you know, what are you leaving? You know, are you leaving for just, you know, you're tired of like the same system, but then don't try to bring the negative to something that could be positive, and typically try to, like, you know, change your view of life, because sometimes those that are here who want more, don't look down on them. Be humble. You know, I think like a humble mentality goes a long way. It shows that you appreciate. Like even before I moved here, I came from humble beginnings. I didn't say like, oh yeah, I'm better, I got more money. No, I treat everybody the same. But you got to be able to differentiate. You know, saying those who want to exploit and those who want to actually learn. And I just think that sometimes, you know, don't just come here just to be like, well, you know what, I'm a millionaire here, but you don't do that in your own country.
Oh man, that is a great point, 100%, and something you hit nail on the coffin. A lot of, I'll say boys, a lot of the men, they come here and exactly that, like they have money and they only look at DR as a third world country. By the way, Dominican Republic is no longer a third world country. It is a thriving country, the #1 destination country for the last 2 years in the Caribbean, and it's about to, unless Colombia has something to say about it, it's going to be for the 3rd year in a row that it is the #1 tourist destination in the Caribbean. So it's not a third world country. But what I'm saying is that a lot of dudes, even to me, I'm sure even to the locals, but they come here, they think just throwing some money at someone is going to get them what they want, or they can disrespect them. And I cut out quickly, because I'm the people person. I love to show people a good time. I want to take, But a lot of the dudes, they come here and they call in, they act in a certain way. I done cut off some dudes from the States that when I meet them, I already could tell they're not someone I want to hang out with. So, but I'm like, you know what? I want to help you get your thing around here.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a guy call me at 3 a.m. in the morning, not to call me because he had 2 girls over, because he needed a wingman. He called me to ask me some random question at 3 in the morning. Like, bro. Like, and there's a lot of guys that do that. They come here, they have that, I made it in this state, I got money, so when I come here, I'm just gonna buy whatever. Well, you put that energy out, that's what you're gonna receive. You may not receive it right away, but sooner or later, someone's gonna screw you over. And I'm not hoping that for you. I'm just giving you game, because throwing your money around, if you don't lead, my boy Dre said this one time, if you don't lead with your money in the state, why come here and lead with your money here? So that's something you people that want to think about moving here, don't do that. Because when you come here, that's how you get burnt out quick, because you're going to think you could just buy everyone. They're going to take your money, they're going to disappear, or you're going to realize very quick someone's going to set you up. And DR is very safe, but at the end of the day, they're going to pick themselves over you and what you have. So that's freaking fantastic. And the last thing I got a question for you is, what's one thing you would change about, the Dominican Republic if you could?
I would change, what I would like to change is that I would like to see the economy flourish for the people. I think sometimes we need to, for us to get to where we want to be, and for many of those that have like goals and dreams, we got to give them like a means of and they have to want it. I think sometimes we have to get the right people to kind of share what we have, and to kind of like bring them to those that are less fortunate. I think we need to do more, and not just tell them. We need to have sit downs and have mentorships, and get men and women who are very strive in life, and actually to share their expertise and be a voice to those that want to go even further. And typically when we always have the information, but it's not being passed down, we're not really breaking the cycle, we're just continuing the cycle.
Exactly. Man, that's beautiful, and that's what my foundation is about. It's wanting them to want more in life, and that is a great way. Man, that's fantastic, and I love that, because that's exactly how I look at it, because here, the entire country's for sale. Dominican Republic country's for sale. Right. But only people that's benefiting is the people that's not from here, or the people that's got the hustle and they're able to sell. There's protests all around the country because every inch of the country's for sale by companies and so on. And they're just kicking people out their homes. So that's a beautiful way. And I agree with you. I think that's a wonderful thing to have in your mindset, and you're already doing it through football. You're already doing it in different ways. So that's freaking fantastic. I really like that. And so, guys, first of all, Darius, I appreciate it, my man.
Always.
I appreciate it, man.
We got to do more. I'm always willing to support your cause. I see you do what you do for those that are less fortunate. I would hope to be a part of that one day once I'm fully settled, and maybe contribute to your foundation. Anything you need, man, I'm always a phone call away. We got to do more of these episodes. There's so much knowledge that I haven't really get the chance to share, but I'm pretty sure this will be something worth long term, and I hope what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. I hope it prospers even. Yeah, because I think what you're doing to give those the voice to share their story, and I think it's going to influence the majority.
Oh man, it's a pleasure, and we'll get you back on here as soon as possible. That's not a problem at all. You are welcome back anytime. We'll get some more drinks in it, some more pig and cheese. And as far as the foundation, you're invited anytime. Our next big event is going to be the end of May for a big 6th annual Reasons to Smile birthday bash. My birthday, I'm all about just not only providing, but also celebrate my birthday. Because for me, I'm old. I'm 40. So now it doesn't really matter. But providing
40's the new 30.
Yeah, 40's the new 30. But providing reasons for those kids and just giving them a reason. Last year they found out that it was my birthday. Because I've been doing it, but they found out I do it on my birthday. They were in shock. Like, what? you hang out with us on your birthday in this area, and they love me now, and I always love them. But the end of May 31st, probably the big event. Date's not settled, but if you want to be involved, please reach out to us, and you're invited. And for everyone else, man, if you want to get involved, Reasons to Smile. That's TOO, because I have a reason, and then the people that has a reason to smile.org. If you want to get involved, or you can go on Instagram, Reasons to Smile, or just Life in DR podcast. Reach out to us. You're invited. We'd love to have you. And if you want to donate, please, we appreciate you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life in DR. Darius, again, thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification. Let's continue this journey. And as always, I love you guys. I am, because we are. Again, lock in. Let them know. Darius, let them know. Hit that subscribe button, man.
Hit the subscribe button, man. Shout out to anyone support this podcast, and also support the SD Lobos on Instagram. So follow me at @inkbeats_red, and follow my boy Saint, man. Honestly, this is a cause that we're trying to change. We're trying to build something beautiful, and I ask that you all pray for all those that are less fortunate.
Amen, man. Again, appreciate y'all. Life in DR podcast show. That's it. Saint is my homeboy on all social media outlets. Lock in. Let's continue to grow together. I appreciate you guys. And we got a lot of shorts coming out from all the events we had in a couple of days. Y'all can check those out too. As always, I love you guys.